I'm not your modern day Malcolm X. I'm your modern day 19 Keys. Malcolm X, he lived and he existed in the 1960s, man. He did his thing. You feel me? But the reason I'm not a reincarnation of anybody, because I'm going to do things differently, and I don't want to be pigeonholed by somebody else's example. Even though I believe he was a great and honorable man. But I think that people tell you those things, and I think at the end of the day, you know, is more mechanisms of control, because then if you don't act like the example that they said you were like, then they'll punish you. You said, I'm not close to Malcolm X. That's fine, my brother. You might think he was a perfect angel. The question is, are you perfect? Or are you close to Malcolm X? Because telling another man he's not don't mean nothing. Because at the end of the day, you understand me, if we looking at modern day times, you know, what makes a man close to Malcolm X anyway? Like, can you lay out an example? Can you break it down? You feel me? Is it media? Because we got high-level conversations where we reach the people. You understand me? Is it traveling, teaching, knowledge of self? You know what I mean? To our people in America, is it speaking truth to power? You understand me? Like, is it raising the minds of these young black men to be greater men on this planet Earth? Like, at the end of the day, you know, it ain't, you know, as a man, you can stand equal to any man that ever existed. It ain't a man on this planet Earth that you can't rise up towards or go greater than. I don't believe in men in that capacity, that a man that bleeds like me, I can't become greater than. So if we talking in that capacity, you understand me? I don't need to be compared to nobody, because at the end of the day, I'll be the comparison. But I love that brother, and I think that, you know, if we was alive today, I would be able to sit down and learn many things from him. He was able to grow to an old age. But these devils don't let us grow to an old age. So therefore, we got to break their curse and create a new world. You know, at the end of the day, Malcolm was did not get resourced by the people to do all the things he needed to do. Because at the end of the day, during his time, Malcolm wasn't celebrated. He was hated towards the end of his death. And it says a lot about the people that is easier to love a man in hindsight. Right? It's easier to love a man in death than it is in life. In life, you have to respect, value, honor, stand beside, support, protect that person while they living. That's why I tell man, treat me like I died yesterday. Because then you'll appreciate the words. You understand me? You'll appreciate the example. You'll realize that, man, this is actually a 0.1%. The people that I support, the people that I help, the people that I build up, if I'm not in their life, there's no replacement for me. There ain't no replacement. If that replacement existed, then they'll be here now. I ain't took nobody's place. There's plenty of room for us all. I got a platform. I'll put you on the platform. They don't exist because they don't want the job. They don't want the job. And I understand why. I understand why. You understand me? And this was my frustration this morning when I woke up. And I see how the one side organizes. And I'm like, man, evil can organize so fast because they understand the necessity of time and power and structure and order. They understand that. So evil organizes fast and good organizes slow. So our people, what they do is, if you run a successful psyop, then you get people to stop trusting those who are actually trying to do good for them and try to lead them. Once you can break that trust, then it decreases the influence that you have on the people. So you will run counter narratives right to these people. Then the algorithm will push those narratives. So when you search for those people, you'll be like, oh, I don't know if I can trust them. Therefore, without the trust, it decreases the ability to move faster. Now those people will only listen to certain voices in an emergency when they feel like they're in complete survival mode. It's not hard to see the way the devil operates. It's a reason why we don't trust nobody that ever stands up for us. That's not your own thoughts. No, they do this every single time because they put an impossible standard. knowing that nobody can be perfect. And if you perfect, and if you ain't pissing some people off, then you ain't doing enough. I remember when I was first starting and everybody was just liking all my content, just loving it all. I wasn't getting no hate, no nothing. And I was like, man, I'm obviously not doing enough. I'm not pissing off the right people. Otherwise you become safe. And once you become safe, you're not making no change. So now that I see the hate that comes in, I say, okay, I'm finally making some impact. I'm finally cutting through. I've had whole entire political groups come at me, you understand me, to try to decrease my power, run psyops on in campaigns on me. Y'all don't know the extent of what happens behind the scenes. You feel me? This ain't just content. They see a man that's powerful enough to lead a nation. And they hope that you never rise to that position, because then, you understand me, you become either a true leader of that cause that take people over that hill, or you become a martyr for that cause that create another 1,000 more. Either way, it's the inevitable. That's what they hope. And they hope that your own people practices cannibalism, endo-cannibalism, where we eat our own so that they ain't got to do the work. And you don't know who worked for them people. Remember, back in the day, it was COINTEL. Well, what does COINTEL look like today when they can just pay a nigga and they might not even know he getting paid? You understand me? To disrespect you, all for the point of showing dissonance within ranks. You gotta take time to think about, the way the game is played on so many levels. Because when you ever want to be someone that is exalted to a position of leadership, you understand me, it's going to come with opposition. And the most dangerous thing is that the opposition is influential as well. They have tools as well, strong tools. They might show you something about a person at the right time because they seen that you were in their web of influence, and they say, how do we decrease this? And they take you down a rabbit hole that eventually leads you to some information that makes you feel you can't trust this person. Then all of a sudden you like, damn, I thought that was one of the ones. Whole time you being caught up, you understand me, in a psychological operation in a program against that person. This is why, I'm slow to criticize our own people. And I got a lot of grace for us, because I don't know what I'm receiving, whether this is manipulation for me to think of this person a certain way, then they think of me a certain way, then all of a sudden we going at each other. All of a sudden we want to kill each other. All of a sudden we want to destroy each other, because somehow we think that destroying the devil has something to do with destroying each other. Somehow we think that if we see this next person that's rising up, we like, who the hell do they think they are? And if we just take them out, then maybe we making progress. It does not work like that. Your enemy is still safe. Your enemy is still smiling. But somehow we think that if we destroy each other, we become more powerful. It never worked. It never will work. That only makes you a coward to want to take out one of your own. Unless they deserve it. But I can show you a long list of people who deserve it before one of your brothers do. But somehow, all our anger and frustration, all our gangster, all our killer, you understand me? Somehow, it always get pointed to somebody who look like you. And all that frustration that you have and all of that venomous hate that you mad that somebody else is not doing something, somehow it doesn't make you go do it. Oh, these people just talking by the whole time you ain't even doing that. Because to speak truth is an act of true courage and engagement. Now, this is the time to build, but most of y'all wouldn't even speak truth. And y'all mad that somebody else is doing it because of what it makes you look like. That's all it is. Some people hate the fact that when somebody else is speaking truth, it makes them feel guilty because they don't want to have to stand behind the integrity of those words. So they will always say you're not doing enough, because in a fractured nation contribution is not enough. If we had our own nation, contribution would be enough, just like every other people. The reason that nobody else has the same sayings that we have, nobody in the white community would tell a white man, oh, you just talking, because in their community, they have a nation. We're speaking and influencing a generation would be enough for them. That's why Charlie Kirk was enough. Because they have a nation. But anytime leadership and influence in the black community, what happens is that people don't want you to be a Malcolm X. They want you to be a Honorable Elijah Muhammad or Marcus Garvey. That's what it is. And the reason I say that is because they want you to talk like Malcolm, but they want you to build like Elijah. They want you to build like Marcus. They want you to build the whole nation. So therefore, the weight of the world is on the individual, not the collective. Because if it's on the collective, then you can just play your part as a part of the collective. You can just be a thought leader, a philosopher. You understand me? You can play one role, but now they want you to play the whole role. The architect, the designer, the builder, the engineer. They want you to construct everything. So nothing you do will ever be enough to a people who don't feel connected to each other. This is why we face this dilemma. This is why people never feel like they're doing enough. People are always telling them, you're not doing enough until you do it all. And nobody can do it all. So they keep us in this cycle, stuck, not appreciating the people while they're there. Then when they die, you become a part of the pantheon of the ancestors. And now we can clearly see what you were doing for us, because you're no longer here, and all we have is time to reflect upon your absence. That's the way it works. So I've been working with my brother Antoine Digital and my AI team on the back end and my digital team on the back end. And we've been thinking, man, how do we build out something outside these systems? This Zion, I'm tired of chasing algorithms. So therefore, the digital network is something that people, and we're still fixing a lot of the bugs, but the idea was, how do we organize the people into a nation? How do we organize the people into a system? And you remember in the movie Matrix, Zion was the place outside the Matrix. It was real life. Didn't look as glamorous, but it was real. It was real life. It was the people that actually knew what reality was. And the thing about it is that we all know each other. We build with each other. We comment with each other online. We might know each other IG names, but we never, if we don't organize that energy, that collective intelligence, then the power stays potential and it never becomes kinetic. So how do we organize that? That's where the Digital Nation Network comes in. And then that's when you have the ability to see real life execution and implementation, because it really should be easier than what it is, and we're making it harder than what it is. It should just be a push of a button, but the question becomes is, why does so much of your life get in the way of your freedom? Why is it so hard to organize when everybody knows it's the right thing to do? How are they keeping you so busy that you're not living? Because that's what they did to the slave. The slave had to work all day, sun up to sundown, when he had time to plan and escape, to dream. They get a couple of moments where they start thinking and start talking with the others, and they was like, man, I wonder what it's like. You start wondering. But nowadays, man, we barely got time to wonder. So even when they create tools that are immense opportunities that allow us to build whatever we want to, What do you have inside your mind? Because you're so busy, you don't even dream anymore. I barely hear people talking about their dreams. The word dream has disappeared almost. I used to hear so much. My dream is this. My dream is this. And the funny thing about it is we're in a time where you should be dreaming the most, because the ideas are the currency right now. Because the technology is here, but the ideas feel like they disappeared. And there's a mental myopia. And a lack of that fecundity in the mind, a lack of ideas germinating in the mind, means that when we have the technology to where you can build any app, you can build any world that you want to, I'm not seeing enough worlds being built. So when I go speak, and I was speaking in Bermuda, it's always the crux is, how do we raise the consciousness, give them enough information on the technology, right? So that we can focus on building our own world, our old blueprints for wealth, for power and opportunity, so that we can have a future that we shape. And when we are using their tools, and we're not doing it in a manner that is focused on, strategic imagination, and we're only using it for what they tell us to use it for, like Sora, and people just making the cartoons, and people are asking, how do you use this? And it's like, you're actually losing your ability to think every single day. Questions are powerful, but what we're not doing is these are not true questions. No, most people are not asking real questions anymore. They think they are. Asking somebody how to do something is a lazy. It's not really inquisitive. It actually lacks real thinking. It shows that you didn't take any time to reflect, because the question that you asked could have been answered if you just spent 5 to 10 minutes thinking. So we've already entered a time where 85% of people on this planet Earth are no longer really thinking anymore. The machines are thinking for them. The bots are thinking. The AI is thinking for them. The government is thinking for them. Their favorite influencer is thinking for them. And then their influencer is being taught by other thinking machines. And they couldn't tell you what the root of their thinking is. So you don't know what God you follow anymore, because you don't know if your thoughts are connected to God. Your thoughts can draw back to a machine with meaninglessness. You ever talk to ChatGPT and it can write something for you, but what does it really mean? Is it drawn from any experience, any consciousness, any soul? Or is it just words jumbled together to sound good? That's not wisdom. Wisdom is from specific place and intent and experiences in life. So when I see people pulling from ChatGPT and they're speaking scripts, I said, that's not intelligence. There's no understanding in this. And we're so impressed by word machines just because somebody can say something. And I'm like, this young man don't know nothing. I can tell he doesn't know anything. He hasn't built anything. He hasn't done anything in real life. Yet they become good at mimicking intelligence. And that's dangerous, because you learn how to develop hooks, capture attention, and in that capture of attention, you go viral. Then that funnel gets people hooked to these short-term clips of dopamine, while people are absorbing the dopamine but not the information. They're not reflecting upon that information. It was just a quick hit, then it disappeared, and then they're waiting for their next fix, while not acting upon none of the things you actually talked about. And you're just going into ChatGPT for another script to give them another fix daily. And it feels like you are becoming an influence, but there's no actual change in the reality of the lives that are downloading and consuming your content. And so it's like just watching a world disappear, watching consciousness disappear after human beings spend so much time developing it, that people are losing their reflective ability. And what separates human beings from animals is that animals have things that they know, right? An ant can build a kingdom, all right? A tiger knows how to hunt. The knowledge is in them, but they cannot reflect on it. They cannot think about their own existence. What does it mean to be a tiger? They just be a tiger. They just be a lion. It just be an ant. And to follow within the alignment of one's nature, because they don't have the free will to break outside that nature. Human beings have the free will to reflect upon choices, decisions, and ideas. We can invent things that have no purpose. We can go off script whenever we want to. We do not have to follow God's blueprint. That's what makes us different, is our ability to reflect, to think. And so in an era where it requires a cognitive renaissance, where attention will go from how do I capture it, right? Because that's where it's at right now. Capture, 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 capture. Capture, capture, capture attention or consciousness, because attention and consciousness go hand in hand. It's going to go to how do I preserve it? How do I preserve my attention? And those who can preserve their attention, right, become the highest minds in the land. Because many people cannot preserve their attention. So building communities to where those are the highest minds that know how to preserve attention, know how to self-reflect, know how to think with clarity, know how to increase capacity, know how to grow their capabilities and master their capabilities. Those who can master higher consciousness right now will actually exceed in all of their business endeavors. You will exceed in all of your endeavors in life just by having a level of awareness over self, and then being able to program the machine